In this presentation, we will be focusing on the role a reflective assignment, the tutoring philosophy, has played in tutor development and community building at the College of Lake County. Assigned at the end of a semester-long tutor development course, this project encourages new tutors to ask big questions about their roles as tutors and about the role of the Writing Center itself, and to communicate their answers in any genre of text: artwork, academic essay, poetry, video, rap, etc. The projects are shared on the last day of the course as the class celebrates the end of the semester. All current Writing Center staff, as well as members of the college community, are invited to attend, so the audience for these presentations moves beyond the members of the class.
My name's Johnny. I'm a peer tutor at CLC still. I'm at my last semester at CLC currently. And I'm an English major and plan on transferring to Lake Forest
College. And my name is Benasia. I am also a peer tutor at CLC. I think it's almost been, how long has it been? Like almost 2 years? My gosh, that feels so weird saying that. Yes, this is also my last semester at CLC, and I'll be transferring. And my major, I'm stuck between English and social work or clinical psychology. So.
And my name is Claudia, and I was a tutor from 2019 to 2020. I'm currently phoning in from my new home in Colorado, where I hope to continue in pursuing my degree in education. Yeah.
My name's Tatiana. I am also a peer tutor. I started peer tutoring at CLC in the fall of 2019. I'm finishing up my last semester at CLC like a lot of my coworkers, and I will be transferring to SIU in the fall to complete my degree in elementary education.
Hi, I'm Martha. I am also a peer tutor, similar to everyone here. I've been a tutor since fall of 2019. This is my last semester at CLC, transferring and majoring in social work.
And hi, I'm Dr. Jenny Saban, and I'm an English instructor at College of Lake County and also the faculty coordinator of the Writing Center. And I can't believe I'm about to, say goodbye to a lot of these tutors. So I'm going to give you a little background information about our Writing Center and the tutor development course that the tutor philosophy is a part of. College of Lake County is a 2-year community college serving the northeast suburbs of the Chicagoland area. We have 3 campuses, and the CLC Writing Center has locations at each of these campuses, though now we're totally virtual. Our tutoring staff is a mix of student and professional. We hire a cohort of CLC students every year for our peer writing tutor program. Some of our peer tutors continue to tutor for us as they work on their bachelor's degrees in the area. The rest of our tutoring staff are professional tutors with bachelor and master's degrees, though a growing number of them are homegrown, starting out as peer tutors and working their way up. English 260, Introduction to Writing Center Theory and Practice, is an upper-level English course that is required for all peer tutors selected for CLC's peer writing tutor program. It's also required for any professional tutors who are hired without prior Writing Center experience. The focus of the course is both practical and theoretical. We read selections from both the Oxford Guide for Writing Tutors and the St. Martin's Sourcebook for Writing Tutors. The assignments all revolve around Writing Center practice, weekly reflections, observations of experienced tutors. Later in the semester, a project that involves recording, re-listening, and reflecting on a session, as well as the final self-reflection at the end of the semester. In addition to a self-reflective essay, the final project has a second part, the creation of a tutor philosophy. I'm going to share a section of the assignment sheet. What is a tutoring philosophy? I'm not talking philosophy with a capital P here, but rather a text, visual, and/or verbal, that tackles how you conceptualize what it is that you do when you work with writers in the Writing Center. A tutoring philosophy could address some or all of these questions. What do you think your role as a tutor should be in the Writing Center? Are there roles you feel you must play as a tutor? Are there roles you feel you must not play? What events have shaped your views about what tutoring is and what the Writing Center is, and or the opposite, what tutoring and the Writing Center isn't? What is your idea of a Writing Center? What roles do you think a Writing Center should play at a community college? What makes a tutoring session successful? What makes a tutoring session unsuccessful? Now your challenge is to shape the answers to some or all of these questions into some form of text. The genre is up to you. It can be a straightforward essay, or you can try something more experimental, a dialogue, a prose poem, a vocal performance, a video, a graphic novel, or some mixture of all of the above. No matter what, be creative, have fun. The purpose of this activity is to help you reflect on your experiences this semester and to push you to theorize about language, literacy, and education. However, there are no right answers. It's what you think right here, right now. In a year or two, you may have a completely different viewpoint, but this piece of writing, or whatever, will serve as a snapshot of your thoughts at this moment. For the next part of our presentation, we'll be sharing videos of the actual presentations that Johnny, Benasia, Tatiana, Martha, Claudia, and Sarah did in the fall of 2019.
My friend asks me, so you started working at the Writing Center, right? How do you deal with the frustration of working with bad writers? I narrowly avoid telling her that the only frustration I feel right now is how dumb of a question that is. Instead, I decide to probe to find out what she really means. I ask her, what do you mean by a bad writer? Well, someone who's like maybe bad at English. This does nothing to dissuade my annoyance. When I think of students I've worked with who are bad at English, the last thought that comes to my mind is one of frustration. The first thought is of the time when the Writing Center first began to feel like home. I was working with a studying abroad student who was struggling with using pronouns for objects and ideas. In all of my infinite wisdom as a writing tutor, I decided to start by using myself, a confused, anxiety-ridden transgender woman that doesn't pass, as the example for pronoun usage. So, an example could be, yesterday, Sarah ran 3 miles. Now, if we were to say that sentence again and instead use pronouns, we could say, yesterday, I paused awkwardly because, ironically, I don't know the correct answer for this question. But thankfully, the student fills in this awkward pause by bluntly stating, she. When I respond with, yes, you did it, I not only mean it in the grammar sense of you did the correct pronoun thing, but also, yes, you did the thing that my father still struggles to do to this day. The first person to take a shot in the dark concerning my preferred pronouns and get it right was not family or best friend or other friend who's concerned about my frustration with struggling writers. It was a guy who was here to study abroad for a semester and is still learning how to be fluent in English. Working at the Writing Center has been one of the biggest things that has helped me build confidence in myself because students don't usually judge me for stuttering or being overexcited or wearing a crop top and leggings. They judge me by how I try my best to find methods that help them understand writing concepts in a way that matches their learning style, or by how invested I am in wanting them to succeed. There is negativity and bad experiences in all aspects of life. And while the Writing Center is not exempt from this, it's still one of the places where I feel most comfortable. My favorite sessions are with students who might struggle with writing because more often than not, they usually have the highest desire to learn. One of the few frustrations I have connected to the Writing Center is when people in my life ask really shallow questions about my new job because they want to break the ice. And I'd like to think that my frustrations come from being exposed to people that are discriminatory in a way I never was. But sometimes what makes people most uncomfortable is looking in the mirror. Not too long ago, I had similar beliefs to my friend, even if I wasn't fully aware of them. I want to tell my friend about how I used to perceive writing and how wrong I was, and about my awkward pronoun experience, and many more that changed how I view learning and writing, but telling my friend all of these thoughts would take too long and be too confusing. So I settled for saying, I actually enjoy working with those writers the most. The one thing I've learned from being a tutor is that difference isn't deficit.
To adapt my lemon cookie recipe to the writing center, and so I'm just going to read you my recipe, and then I also have like tidbits of like writing center things. Okay, so how to turn sour papers into sweet essays, or a lemon cookie recipe. So I have 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, or the rough draft of the paper, 2 cups of flour, the everyday writer or sources for information, half a teaspoon of salt, tough love / non-directive techniques, half a cup of powdered sugar, asking them questions, half a cup of butter, softened, establishing rapport and good relationships, a cup of sugar for experience, 2 teaspoons of baking powder for raising them up with praise, 2 large eggs, reading aloud the work, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, or take-home work and notes. So first you preheat the oven to 350 degrees, or create a good working environment. When the tutor comes to sit down, we must be fluid with conversation. That is why we start with the wet ingredients. First, take your learned experience and establish rapport with your tutor, powdered sugar and butter. Then mix them together until you get a nice consistency. Then slowly add the rest of your wet ingredients. If they have a rough draft, pour in some lemon juice. The rough draft may be a little sour, but when you mix them with the other ingredients, the sour will blend into the sweet cookies. If they do not have a rough draft, you'll make sugar cookies, which is still delicious. Break the eggs to read aloud the work. Make sure to not drop the shell. Pay attention to the writing, no matter how hard it is to understand. Write down notes or visuals for them to take with. This will be our vanilla extract. It adds a little extra something to the session. While the wet mixture sits, we also need to add a few more key ingredients. You can slowly add these to the wet. Flour will represent all of our sources to become a better tutor, such as the everyday writer, the internet, peer tutors, to be able to fully assist the students. These sources will not only help the cookie's texture or the essay, but with time it'll add to our own knowledge. Then add the bittersweet love of salt or non-directive techniques. You can go to the bathroom, make them take notes, or make them answer their own questions. It's up to you. Do not forget to make those writers rise with praise. Baking powder. Without adding it, our essays will stay flat. Finally, shape our dough into half-inch balls and coat with powdered sugar, or ask them questions that will spark responses. They may not know how to respond, but if they do, that extra information will stick and it'll make a prettier essay. So layer your baking sheet with parchment paper and place them about half-inch apart. Give just the right amount of space between you and your TT. Bake them in the oven for about 10 minutes. The session will probably be longer than 10, but it's a start. After, you should have some pretty delicious cookies or sweet essays.
Ready?
Okay.
All right, so I have taken Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive, and I'm going to sing you I Will Write. And I apologize if my voice is shakes. And let me see if I can get my key. Okay. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, to think that I would have a tutie there right by my side. But then I spent so many hours here with Jenny and my crew, I read the Oxford Guide and now I know just what to do, and now you're here from 108. I just sat down to find you here with that sad look upon your face. Your assignment is a bore, you'd wished you'd worked on it some more. Your paper's due next period and you need a decent score, and I say no, don't walk away. Come sit on down now, let's hear what you have to say. Fill out this form and check the areas of need. No need to mumble, I want to hear you read, and I will too. We will survive, oh, as long as you are open-minded, willing, and have drive. I've got an hour to give. I know you're creative, and we'll survive. Yeah, we will ride. Hey, hey. It took all the. I'm gonna go up a key. It's a little low. It took all the strength you had not to fall apart. Kept trying to mend. Oh, I'm reading the other song. Okay. It took all the strength you had not to fall apart. Kept trying to rock your introduction, but you couldn't start. You wanna cry, but I say hold your head up high and you see me. I'm you're my 2T. We'll work together, form ideas through our harmony. I'll communicate with you in a non-directive way. You'll surprise yourself with all the thoughts that you are gonna say. And I say no, don't walk away. Stay for a while now, let's hear what you have to say. We've got all the tools to help you out and guide you as you need. Sure, we might fumble, but then you'll be off and on your way, and I say, hey, we will survive. Oh, as long as you are open-minded, willing, and have drive. I've got an hour to give. I know you're creative, and we'll survive, and we will ride. Okay.
Hi, I'm Martha. So apparently I just learned that I have an appointment in like 2 minutes, and I don't even know, like, it's a bio? I'm not taking any bio classes right now, so I'm so nervous. Rude? Actually I'm Martha, but I think you have an appointment with me.
Yeah, okay, so I have a lab report to work on, and I'm really not sure how to go about formatting it. Like, I've tried, but it's just, I don't understand, so I need your help.
Have you been here before?
No.
Okay, so what usually happens is can you fill this out for me real quick, please? And well, it's just gonna ask you a whole bunch of questions, like your name, your ID number, and like what you want to work on. But while you do that, this is for bio, you said.
Yeah, it's a lab report, and I don't know what to do. So have you done a lab report? Okay, well,
I actually haven't had any bio classes,
okay,
but we'll learn
together.
I don't know what it looks like, but again,
okay,
I can totally Google that or search in the book or something. But we'll figure it out. Like, don't worry. Like,
so I should just fill this out right now?
Yeah, just fill it out, and then I'll be right back. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, but you know what though? It's fine. My philosophy is that it's okay not to know. It's okay not to be an expert, and it's okay to just look for answers with the 2T. It's okay. Everything's gonna be fine. We'll figure it out together. We already looked at how a lab report's supposed to look like. You have so much information here that I think that you can create, you know, what you're essentially going for. Do you feel like you got this, or do you feel like we need to go into it more?
Honestly, after we researched everything and talked me through it, I think that I'm a lot more confident than I was coming in here. So I think I'm going to take what you gave me and apply it. And if I need any more help, could I make an appointment?
Yeah, for sure. Well, everything that you have is basically what's supposed to be in the lab report. All you have to do is just, we talked about the organization, so just apply it and you'll be fine.
Thank you so much.
No
Thank you
problem.
so much for your time.
Thank you for coming in. So how did I feel? I feel pretty good actually. I was super nervous at the beginning, I'm not gonna lie. But now I know how to do a lab report, so that's good, right? And yeah, I think it went pretty well. Like, I'm excited. And yeah, I got this. Yeah, all right, gotta go. Yeah, I did really.
If I was that Tootie, oh my goodness. Martha, baby. Maria, baby? Oh God. You should have heard her explaining what a lab report was. It was all, yeah, like, I guess if her and the 2T feel they did good, but I could have done it better.
How did I feel about Martha's session? Who the is Martha? I thought her name was Maria.
What am I doing? Oh, right now I'm making myself a cup of coffee. I have a student out there filling out the session agenda sheet. We're gonna get this session rolling pretty soon. Been here before, so thankfully I didn't have to give them the whole spiel about, have you been to the writing center? So, I'm gonna enjoy my cup of coffee and see how this goes. Okay, so since you have your goals for the session already filled out, which are to develop a thesis, develop your main claim and ideas, and then also work on organization. So you have a research paper. Have you decided a topic?
Yeah. I'm doing it on vegetarianism. And why it's wrong.
Okay, so, and you're having a hard time coming up with ideas. Have you tried an outline before?
Not a who?
An outline for your ideas? Well, let me go grab one. How does a student not know what an outline is? How did he get past the 4th grade? So here's the outline, and I have an example of my own. So since you already have your key topic, which would be vegetarianism, you're going to talk about what it's about. So that would actually be your thesis, all right? And then from there, your 3 main ideas. What do you want? The thesis is your main claim, what the essay is about.
Right.
So then from there, you would fill out the main ideas, the big things you want to say about vegetarianism. And under each of those, you would talk about the essential details. And then from there, we would understand what is so important. If you want to look at mine, I did ocean pollution. And the big things that I would talk about with ocean pollution and how it contributes to climate change are the factories, plastic waste, and deregulation. And then from there, I would go into more detail, then developing my claim. You understand?
Yeah.
Overall. I mean, obviously the things I could have. Philosophy? Oh, what I was saying to Martha was my tutoring philosophy includes modeling techniques because I think that it really helps a student to see you do something before they do it themselves. I feel like it can add confidence and also just help make sense of it. So I definitely incorporate modeling into almost every session I have.
Yeah, I wasn't really listening because I was doing my own thing, but let's be real, it's kind of hard not to listen because she's loud as fuck. I mean, oh my god. And you see her highlights? Yeah, Tatiana's Tootie? Yeah, I don't know what everyone's saying. He looked nothing like me. That's an insult. That hurts. And what do you mean I haven't been working this whole time? I got a freaking session in 5 minutes. Mind your business. And what's your name again? Hello. Okay, perfect. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about what we got going on here?
Well, clearly I suck at writing and I don't know what I'm doing. I just feel like just grabbing this and tossing this from the beginning. I don't know. My teacher obviously doesn't know or doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I just need help, please. I suck.
What I can see is your professor's making a lot of notes of that you weren't quoting properly, which means you have a lot of plagiarism.
I got all the information from online and am I supposed to quote everything that I get from online?
Yes, because you didn't say it.
I want this semester to be over, like, I'm so done. Like,
yeah, it feels like that sometimes. asked her to highlight everything that was her words, just so we can have an idea of what needs to be fixed in terms of what needs to be quoted. I have very few words, very few. Very important to me and part of my philosophy, just to understand that when someone comes in that defeated, you really have to try to uplift them as best as you can. And I know I'm not the most approachable person. I know I can sound a little off-putting at times, but I do believe that, you know, positive reinforcement is going to help uplift them, especially in cases like this. Oh, so you decided to highlight all your quotes?
No, this is what I wrote. This is like my opinion. Can I just give up? Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay, so I'm gonna need you, for me, to snap out of it, because this is your paper, and if this is important to you, then we need to get it done, and we need to get it done right. You obviously came in here looking for help. So if you want help, I'd be happy to do it. But if not, I can give you some things to work on, and you can go work on it by yourself and come back when you feel more ready.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm taking this on you.
So I'm gonna give you some things to work on, and you can go work on that, because I'm not gonna review someone else's writing.
Can you just make an appointment, like, right now?
Next week?
Yeah, that should give me enough time. All right. Thanks.
I know what you're probably wondering. How am I feeling? Well, after a little debrief with myself, I'm more calm now. Before I thought we were gonna have to duke it out, you know, knuckle down. But I feel better. You know, I feel like I sent her off with something to do and something to work on, because I wasn't going to peer review someone else's academic writing. So, yeah, I had to make a hard decision. And with sessions like that, you know, sometimes you don't really know how to handle it, and I think I handled it the best I could.
What did I think about Johnny's session? The man is a saint. I think he gave them the best advice he could, and he sent them on their way, but the student said, I'll see what I can do. Do what he told you.
So I kind of overheard Johnny's session, and I mean, I think he was a little rough. The biggest thing about my philosophy, like, I think the most important thing for me is to really build a rapport with the writer. I mean, I want them to know that, you know, I got them, like, that we're working with this together. Yeah, I may not be an expert in all things, which is another thing. Like, you don't have to know everything to help somebody out. So I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of my important philosophies is just, you know, when you're dealing with a frustrated student, is to be able to adapt and hold your ground, and, you know, remind yourself that we weren't trained for every situation that's going to come up. So, I mean, you just gotta roll with the punches.
And honestly, I really agree with that there's no one-size-fits-all tutoring. Each student who comes into the Writing Center is different, but the one thing that they have in common is usually they all need something, and that's why scaffolding and modeling is such a big part of my philosophy, because at least with the outline the outline I gave the student in the session you saw, they at least have something that they can leave the Writing Center with and apply beyond.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're not all that different.
We're not. I mean, for me, the biggest part is being a peer.
Yeah, we're peers, not experts. Yeah. You made us think we were different.
We're not that different. I can't believe that we let everything get between us. We're really not as different as we thought.
I know,
aren't that mean.
Thank
I thought you
you.
guys were mean.
Mia.
Yeah. Can I help you?
I need help. Could I have a tutor?
We're close.
We're close.
You guys are mean.
For this section of our presentation, tutors were asked to reflect on 4 questions. What was your first reaction to this tutoring philosophy assignment? How did you go about coming up with the idea for your philosophy? What did you learn from the process of creating this philosophy then? How do you look back at it now? First, you'll hear from Sarah, Then you'll hear from a focus group of Benasia, Johnny, Martha, and Tatiana.
I'm Sarah Sarastad. I'm a tutor at the CLC Writing Center, and I'm here to talk about just the tutor philosophy project that we worked on, and how that all went. So, first question: what was your first reaction to this tutoring philosophy assignment? My first reaction was like fear. It was, oh no, because at this point I started tutoring that semester. I'm a student tutor, new to this whole thing, and I'm thinking, what can I possibly have to contribute to this conversation? Because like the word tutor philosophy sounds so fancy and like kind of like above where I was at the time. So, I was thinking about these ideas, but I couldn't think about it clearly because I just kept thinking about like, there's nothing that I can add to this. There's nothing useful I can say because, it's probably all been said before or something. How did you go about coming up with the idea for your philosophy? Well, that one was kind of just simple. I do a lot of like poetry and performance poetry, and and that's just a thing that like was natural to me and I love doing. So matching that with the tutor philosophy seemed like a way to kind of like get creative and connect those things, but also disarm a lot of the anxiety about it because, while the tutor philosophy seemed like foreign and something I wasn't qualified for, doing it in a performance poetry like outlet or way kind of disarmed a lot of that anxiety and kind of let me like think about it and participate in creating it and, let my thoughts come out. And then, let's see, what did you learn from the process of creating this philosophy then? I learned that my thoughts were valid in a way, I guess, because, like, I tutored for, like, 2-3 months maybe at this point, and I was kind of going over all these things and trying to find a way to capture that through this project, and realizing that, like, I had experience. I had, like, thoughts and ideas about not just tutoring, but like the writing center and how those how I think those things could work best. And obviously there's many different answers to that question, but this project kind of helped me find my answer to that question, or at least, a part of it, which I thought was a really cool thing. And that answer kind of being just the idea that, like, there isn't really a bad writer as far as like where you're coming from and where you're at, because like our job as writing, or at least I see my job as a writing tutor is to meet the student at their level and do what we can to make the best out of it, because everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, and bringing out those strengths is one of the like most fun things. And then as also something, so a big focus for my philosophy project was the idea of kind of pushing back at the idea of a bad writer. Because when I first got the job, a lot of my family and friends would like try to like break the ice and talk about it and be like, oh, I heard you got a new job. And they'd be like, oh, well, what question should I ask to like kind of like break the ice? And they'd ask like, oh, how do you deal with bad writers? And then I'd get very angry. And this piece was one to address that and kind of deal with some of those pent up like frustrations, but also to address the fact that I had those misconceptions myself before I became a writing tutor. Because I understood that people come from different places and all of that, but also in my head I had this idea of like academic literature and what it should be, and if you're not good at that, you're bad at writing. And I mean, because those are my thoughts, because I thought I was bad at writing for a long time, and then worked on it or whatever, and then I was like, okay, I'm not bad anymore, when in reality, like, that's not how it works. So this project was also a way of kind of confronting those misconceptions I had of myself. And yeah, it really helped. So how do I look back at it now? Well, the big thing is, I think that this was kind of, I feel like this project also like really helped me become comfortable as a tutor, because I had these immense fears of like the other tutors are more qualified than me, or They know better, like know more than me. They have more experience, all these things. And because of that, like, oh, if a student comes to me, oh, I'm scared about this because, it'd be better if they went to go see like another tutor or something. But this project really helped like affirm that I have meaningful things to say about tutoring. And not only that, but I also, like, just in the short time that's been, I also developed a lot of techniques and ideas about tutoring. And like, I wasn't just some new person, because like at the end of the day, like, even if you just start tutoring writing, we've all been writers, and that all means something different to us, and we all have our different skills concerning that. And being a tutor is all about applying those things. So yeah, it just really helped me like becoming my own as a tutor. And that's what I have to say about all of this. So thank you. And yeah.
So the first question I have for you guys is, what was your first reaction when you got this tutoring philosophy assignment? Do you remember how you felt?
Fear. And I say that because I've never had to wonder what my philosophy was for anything before, and then share it with people. Mm-hmm. So that in itself was a fear of mine, and I think that's why I turned myself towards more of a comedic approach, mm-hmm. because that's what I do in moments of fear. I try to crack jokes, or I'm just more comfortable in more comedic situations. And luckily it worked out.
It did. I had a really similar reaction to this assignment as Johnny, because we did this assignment together, but I was really nervous when I first got this. I had only been a peer tutor for 3 months max, and I was like, yeah, I have not been in this position long enough to have developed a philosophy, let alone identify it for an assignment. So I had a lot of, fear, apprehension, and I was glad to be able to go with Johnny and Martha in the comedic direction that we went, and I'm glad it went well, like Jeff said.
And being the third wheel, or the trio. I think of course, I was scared when I first heard about the assignment, because similarly to Johnny and Tatiana, I don't think I was adequately, I didn't have the tools to do this. I think that one of the big issues that we all talk about, or we all talked about in class, was this imposter syndrome, right? Where we don't feel like we're qualified. And I definitely felt like I was not qualified to do this, but, it comes with learning about yourself and learning tools and learning from each other. And I was, again, super lucky to work with Tatiana and Johnny. It made it so much fun and so much more comfortable to do this really scary assignment.
I totally agree with you guys with the whole imposter syndrome feeling. Like, I felt like I didn't have the authority to say what my philosophy was. But I was also like, part of me was excited as well. I don't know. I just kind of like the idea of being able to express what I feel about something. And like, I think the philosophy aspect was really cool, because it made me like question like, what do I believe in? And I think that this project kind of like forced us to, in a good way, to learn from ourselves, sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and I could just kind of feed off that concept of the imposter syndrome. I personally loved the concept of the assignment. I consider myself a creative, and I love how Jenny gave us this opportunity to like basically pick out of a hat, what forum you'd like to use. And, it was such a great opportunity to like get outside of that academic role of having to, write a fancy paper, although we did write a paper, but, it was like outside the boundaries of that academia, which, just gave you an opportunity to be a little carefree and silly. And, so I loved that opportunity. And, I think it's funny how we all talk about that imposter concept, but I think we all can acknowledge that it was just the most accepting, loving, easy place to be, basically wrong sometimes.
Nice. So you already started to talk about it a little bit, but do you guys all want to talk a little bit about your process for coming up with what you did? Did it come right away, or did it take some birthing?
I think Johnny and I first talked about maybe working together, and then of course, since we all sat, Claudia, Tatiana, Johnny, and I sat together on a table, we all kind of thought of asking each other, or asking if they were interested in working together. But of course, Claudia, decided to
I knew I wanted to sing. Okay. Couldn't you have made a singing character in there? I knew.
For me, I was really unsure of how I wanted to do this because, unlike Claudia, I'm not that creative. You could just give me an assignment sheet, a rubric, and I'll do what you ask. It's easiest. I don't have a creative bone in my body. At least I don't think so. So I was struggling for a while, and I had actually talked to Johnny and Martha. I was like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And they were like, "Oh, we're doing a video." And I just kind of attached myself, like, "You mean we're doing a video?" So that's how I was my idea.
I don't really remember the moment of wanting to do the type of video. Like I said, I was drawn to more a comedic approach. Mm-hmm. But then the whole kind of office theme type thing happening there, I think I just thought it'd be funny. I've never even seen The Office except for a few clips, but I think those type of shows work, and they show a work setting in a comedic way, which is what we needed. So yeah. When editing came around, that's what I was constantly thinking of.
And for mine, since it was a cookie recipe, I've never really done anything like that before. I don't know. I didn't really. I don't know. I just kind of like the idea of having a recipe, and because when you make something, it's both a science and an art form, and I kind of like that idea of where with practice you get better at it, and I just like adding all the ingredients of my philosophy into the recipe, and your recipe will change throughout the course of baking and making things. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know, I just really liked that idea, and so then I just went with it.
What I love is, I don't know if you could wait, at the beginning of the video there's noise because those cookies are being passed around while you're talking about it. So, and I thought, oh, I remember those cookies, they were so good.
So good. I'll think about that sometimes.
I can send you the recipe.
Yes. Yeah, and I'll say for me, I definitely knew I wanted to sing, but I didn't know what song, and I think it made sense easily because obviously we're writers and it was easy enough to just trade out some of the lyrics. But I did have a few other songs in mind, and I love that I came up with.
What were the ones that didn't make the cut? Do you remember?
I don't remember now. Oh man, if I remember, I'll
okay. Just always go. Yeah. So I have kind of a two-part then and now question. So the first part is, so what did you learn from the process of creating this philosophy then, when you were doing it? And then I'll ask you kind of now, looking back, how do you see it now? So you were already starting to talk about that before the recording started. So I guess think about then, what did you get out of the act of doing this, of work, of creating it and then sharing it?
So actually doing this assignment kind of helped me identify what I did in my tutoring process and what actually was in my philosophy, because it did really make me think about, okay, how do I, conduct my sessions? What are some of my core beliefs and things that I ensure that happen in a session? And then talking about these ideas with Martha and Johnny kind of made me consider things that originally I didn't really think was part of my philosophy, like admitting not knowing things in my regular life. I'm right about everything. I know everything. But in tutoring, you know, I've really had to learn how to be like, yeah, I'm sorry, we gotta hit Google for this. And that's something that I initially didn't think was part of my philosophy, but through talking realized, oh yeah, that's in there. And now, or should I let everyone else go?
Yeah.
Pretty similar. Like, it helped me realize what works best for me. But then what I've realized now is it really set the foundation for my philosophy to grow and change over time. So like, it was figuring out what works best for me and then moving forward with that and weaving through it and deciding, okay, this really doesn't actually work. I thought it did, but it doesn't. This works better. And being able to do that, I think, has been reap the benefits of that, and how this project is still being beneficial for me even now is the great part about it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with both of you. I mean, it really focused on the one thing I value and I try to do in every session. But you know, just like Johnny said, I think we all have to take each session differently. And you know, I may have this great rapport with someone, but that's not going to help them all the time to get to their goal. So yeah, it's finding little things that will help each individual session, and keeping in the back of my head that while I do want them, it's super important for me for them to feel comfortable enough to talk about their problems and to talk about what they want to get done in a session. I do have to keep in mind that that's not always going to be the case, and you know, the rapport might not be there, but a great session might arise. So.
Yeah, I totally identify with everything you just said, Martha, because like, especially with converting to Zoom, like I feel like my philosophy like kind of had to change a little bit just based on the whole environment. It was a lot more harder to establish rapport with people, but like it also made me think about like what is the goal for a session a lot harder, and like it also, you know, just kind of forces you to, you know, think about the student more in a more like serious way, I think, and like, I don't know, being more friendly, like allowing conversation to happen, but also knowing that everybody's going through something at the same time, and sometimes it's just completing this one task that person needs at that time. And I think that has changed a lot for me, but I also still enjoy tutoring. And yeah, and like before, when I'm thinking about the project before, yeah, I guess I was just kind of making, like when I made the project, I was just making a list of all the things that I enjoyed about philosophy, but like now that I've applied all those philosophies, it's like I've gotten more comfortable with what I enjoy doing, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. When I look at the lyrics for what I did my rewrite for "I Will Survive," I notice a lot of the words are changed to "we." Mm-hmm. So I love that concept. I feel like we've all kind of mentioned how when we go into tutoring, it's like it's this concept of having grace for yourself, having grace for your tutee. Mm-hmm. It's like this. We're all kind of nervous, and just that. Like you said, Benasia, about like that kindness factor. I haven't had the opportunity to tutor on Zoom, so I feel like I'm a little behind where you guys are at. But I just know for me, I believe that will still continue to carry that into my future tutoring in the future and teaching in the future. It's just that element of like, oh, we're all just human and, you know, doing life together. So.
So you've already started to kind of go into this a little bit, but when you either watched your video before you came to this meeting, or we watched a couple just now, what was your reaction, and how do you look back at that experience now from this point? Like, you've already started to address a little bit the changes that switching to virtual tutoring has had in your philosophy, but other things that struck you when you kind of looked back on that philosophy that you had created.
One of the things that I found super surprising is the fact that in the video, I mean, it was hilarious. But just the philosophies themselves, I think for mine specifically, I know I focus a lot on making the student feel comfortable, on working, making sure that they know that I'm on their team, and making sure that, I don't know everything. And it's surprising to me, the fact that it's still such a big part of what I still try to do every day. Of course, you always try to make people feel comfortable and welcoming. But I kind of feel proud that I'm still doing that. And I still, I think that's like my number one goal, is to make everyone that comes in feel really comfortable enough to get a session going, enough to really talk about the problems that they're having, or the issues, the hardcore issues that they want to focus on. Sometimes it's not really just about the grammar, sometimes it's them feeling like the paper or the essay or the assignment itself is just a lot harder to understand, and building that rapport is, I think, can open a lot of growing and a lot of learning for both of us.
Okay. But so with rewatching my video, like Martha said, there was a lot of things that I'm proud that I still do, but I feel like I do a lot better now that I'm a little bit more experienced with tutoring. So adapting to sessions, before, I mean, it sounds so simple, every session's different, but when I think back on sessions I had in person compared to now, some of them were kind of similar. I don't think I was fully applying that there is no one-size-fits-all tutoring. So the more experienced I become, the more I see the little differences in the sessions that can really change the direction. So I think then and now, my philosophy is a lot more developed, and I think some things I've definitely added. Some things aren't as prevalent in the video. I use a lot of scaffolding and modeling in my philosophy, but given the switch to model ideas for students, just because I'm an asynchronous tutor, I send my links, I give my little explanations as best as I can, but it's just not the same as sitting down next to a student and showing them by hand how I might do something. So I think it's a little bit of an evolution there.
Yeah, I think seeing that video in my philosophy then, obviously I talked about how, building a relationship with the student or the tutee, and then, listening to them. But in the video, I look like I'm not. I mean, for comedic purposes, I was being dramatic and sassy towards the student, for lack of a better word. But I've realized that in my tutoring now, I am much better at listening. And especially when a student comes to the Writing Center with assignment that and you can tell they feel defeated, similar to the character in the video. They're defeated, they don't understand it. And in the video, I'm all comprehensive about it. I'm trying to get her to understand the assignment. But the mistake I realize now is she didn't appreciate the assignment. So she's not going to want to understand it. So I try to now approach a student from the direction of helping them appreciate the assignment more, or have a personal connection to it somehow, some way, so that they are open to learning about it and wanting to learn more about it. Otherwise, you're risking them leaving and not really comprehending anything that you even said. So that's something that rewatching that, I've realized that I skipped an important step that I've been now implementing.
Cool. Anything else you guys want to add to that? The things that you learned or reactions you had looking back, seeing it now.
For me, it's just, I'm still behind, so. I'm still where I was last time.
Yeah. So.
I feel like I still struggle with tutoring, like with the whole converting to online. That really threw me through a loop. And I feel like I got a whole new case of imposter syndrome when it went to online. But, and like, I'll admit, I've had really rough sessions where I know that the student does not like working with me. And like, I know that like, we're not getting it together. And like over Zoom, it makes it that much worse because I might not even know what they look like and I can't read their facial expressions. And it's just frustrating. But, you know, then I'll have these really good sessions where this one student had requested me to meet with me a second time, and she was, you know, had started an essay. She hadn't written an essay in a long time, and she felt, I guess, better after each of our sessions, and it's just so nice to see that progress that people are doing, and like reaffirms me or reassures me that like I know that I'm a good tutor, and I just have to keep working at doing online tutoring and like just focusing on improving how I can do better with the new environment. So.
Yeah. And guess what? That's a part of tutoring and teaching. You know, you're never done. So you never feel like you've totally arrived or gotten it. So it's always a work in progress. So, but yeah.
If I can throw in at the end, Claudia, I'm just curious because I know you haven't been able to tutor, but I mean, your song can be totally
Yes, I've actually
into a different type of life, you know, with moving to a whole new state with your family, and have you been able to implement it that way?
Actually, I wish I would have texted Jenny to tell her. It's like I have been enjoying helping my son with his papers and like tutoring him. He gets so annoyed because he wants me to just like edit, and I'm like, that's not what I do, babe. And he's so annoyed, but in the end, he's like, Mom, I totally got a better grade on my paper. And it's actually, it's interesting because you all know how two T's can be totally stubborn and then make it your kid. And it's like, so he's a freshman, and it's actually been very rewarding. So thank you, Jenny.
That's awesome.
And thanks for asking, Johnny.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank all you guys for doing this. I think it's really interesting that, you know, well, less than a year ago, we all made the trip to Cedar Rapids. We were so close to giving this presentation, and then it didn't happen. So it's nice that we got a chance to do this, and that you'll actually have a record of it, because I don't know if we would have recorded it, if, you know, doing it live. So yeah. Thanks for watching our presentation. Also, a big thanks to Midwest Writing Centers Association for doing this virtual version of MWCA 2020 in 2021. If you want additional information about this assignment or the English 260 class, please contact me, Jenny Staben, at com611@clcillinois.edu. I'd be happy to send you materials or answer any of your questions. Thank you.